Have you ever had to give yourself a pep talk just to walk into a car dealership? Or have you ever thought to yourself, I can't trust car salesmen, they don't have my best interests at heart? I'm here to debunk the myths and break the stigma. Welcome to Carman Conversations, the podcast. Welcome back to Carman Conversations, and this episode or season is all about BT50 and the Mazda BT50 Ute Centre. So we're joined by Lauren once again to ask us some more about the BT50 Ute Centre. Lauren.
Over the last couple of years as a dealership, we've been really fortunate to be able to go on a couple of really, really fun adventures with the BT50s across different terrains for some different campaigns, which have all just been so much fun. But personally, so you two own your own BT50s. What are your favourite BT50 highlights?
I'll let you go first, Clint.
BT50 highlights. So there has been a few. I'll start off with the good ones and I'll get into a few hairy ones. The latest one probably would be the Morton trip that we did. That was absolutely incredible. Just a bit of everything, like through some tracks, soft sand, heaps of soft sand. But just the people and the places,
amazing,
what it allows you to do, and just having that freedom too to be able to do that is just awesome. It's next level. Like, you can't put into words. You can't put into words what that was that week. Like, it was just everyone was on board, everyone was having fun. It was just the best time.
It was a pretty special trip, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think those memories that you create from a BT50 and a lifestyle like that was just something else. But you would probably recap that week and you go, oh, wow, like we covered a lot of territory.
Yeah. A
lot of territory and did some really good things in that ute.
Sure.
But, so I've got a couple of highlights for mine, mine would be more the early days of Double Island at Noosa. I had a bit of a routine up there. I'd go up to first cutting, and turn right and head back up to the mouth at river. And I knew the exact spot where the surf would be good. We'd wait for the outgoing tide and you knew the little spot to pull up on and you'd set up your BT50 and you'd pull out the fridge and have your barbecue set up, boards off the car, and the marquee would be up and you'd be under the tent there and music pumping. It was just the best vibe ever. You'd go out and you'd surf, you'd come back, have a couple of beers, have a bite to eat, and you'd do it again and then drive your BT50 down the beach for a little bit and you'd move up to the end towards the mouth of the river and the sun would be setting on the water. Beautiful. Sitting on the back of the ute. Like, these are the memories you just don't forget. So to me, they're probably my favourites. But more recently, the Morton Island, when I bought the house over at Tangalooma, I was a bit inexperienced at Morton, and my first trip was me a bit bullish, and I came off the mic hat, and I wanted to explore the island and do it all, and Jess and I had headed down to Coringal, to the gutter bar, and we went along the eastern beach, and I thought, we've been driving forever. Like, literally driving forever, and it was a high tide. Well, the tide was pretty high, and we're driving in soft sand. I'm like, Jesus, this is a bit of a tough drive, and I got to the end, and when you're driving and you're on soft sand, you don't know really where you're going, and you're a bit tense, and you're holding your breath a bit. And I cut across, and we went through this cutting from Coringal. I saw this sign saying Coringal this way, and anyway, we went across to Coringal and went through all these tracks, and beautiful little town, and we pulled in there, and so we pulled in the back way into Coringal rather than coming along from the waterside on the western beach. And we pulled in there and had a bit of lunch and had a couple of beers, and I'm thinking, how good's this place? Like, this is Morton, this is our little hometown. I got to explore all these beaches, and I said to the lady there, I said, oh, look, what a beautiful little spot. We're heading back now to Tangalooma. And I said, can we get back to the western beach? And I'd been given a bit of advice, you go up the eastern and back the western, and I go, no problems, and we'll go up the western beach. And she said, if you go now because the tide's coming in, you just need to be pretty quick and don't slow down because the water will come in and you might have to drive over a little bit of water. Yeah, no problems. Yep. Me being the no problem, I'll take anything on approach. How bad can it be? And I'd never given tides enough respect in my life. Yep. Well, it's fair to say that as I was driving, there was water lapping behind me. And the quicker I went, the water was catching up, and it was like a horror movie. Beautiful drive in the BT50 on the sand, not so pleasant with the water chasing. And anyway, as I got a little bit further, I won't go into too much detail, but the BT50 came out alive. But Jess's and my heart was in our mouth for a period of time there, and the lesson learnt was always check your tides and give yourself a lot more than you think you'll need because you don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, as though it's my favourite spot now to be full driving as far as adventure goes. My favourite would be Morton, and I know it backwards. I've got my few favourite spots there, but probably my most horrific story would be the Heart in the Mouth trip where Jess and I couldn't actually talk to each other because we couldn't get words out of fear. But we made it home safe and sound, and the BT50 lived to fight another day. So
it's so good, like having those stories too. Like they're the ones you never forget. I remember I just put a front locker in one of my old BTs, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna quickly go check it out. We'll just go up the glass house and go. Had no one with me. Didn't take any recovery gear whatsoever. Ended up getting hung up on a tree root. Now this tree root was about 50 mil thick. And I tried everything to try and get off this, reversing, like everything. And I was stuck. Sun was coming down, no food, no water. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get off this? 4 hours later with the saw out of a little Swiss Army knife and blisters everywhere, I finally chopped through this tree branch. And I was on my way home. So, big lesson learnt from that one. But, we'll never forget it. It was heaps of fun.
So what would be your favourite now if you got an all-time destination and you want to go? What's your perfect setup? I know I'm
up Bribie all the time. Yeah. Up Bribie pretty much every weekend. And the way I've set my ute up too, like, is set up for like those quick little trips and stuff like that. I can't beat Noosa. Like, Noosa's really nice.
It's a good trip,
yeah.
It is a good
trip.
What's one of your Bribie trips look like? Talk us through one of them.
Bribie trip, so normally get up in the morning, shoot up there very early. Me and the missus got her trained very well on deflating tyres now. Yeah. She knows the drill. So in the back of my ute, I've got a fridge. We'd chuck the marquee in there, a few tables, chairs, and a barbecue. So we'll cook up some lunch, go for a swim. And then on the way back, she knows where the hose is. We've got a compressor underneath the seat in the ute. So it's nice and easy to pump up the tyres and get back on the road. So, and I guess like we try and get up there early, have breakfast, have lunch, and then head home before we beat the traffic. So
Such a good day, Adam.
Yeah, it's so easy too.
I've got mine coming up. I'm heading to Tangalooma very soon, and my little favourite destination is when the sun comes down on top of that water.
Oh, yep.
I head to Tangalooma Point, and I drive as far as I can and park in there and put the tailgate down, pull out the fridge, have a nice little glass of rosé or a little sherbet.
Beautiful.
And Jess makes up a pretty good cheese platter, and we sit there and watch the sun come down, and there is nothing better. Yeah. And that feeling of being able to drive, and it's just on the beach, you got the sun setting.
Everything's there.
Best.
It's nothing
It
a
is the best. So
you're not carrying stuff everywhere. So.
It's making me want to get there now. So I hope that gives you some
That's
pretty good adventure
magic.
stories, Lauren. It does sound pretty good, doesn't it?
Last one. Do you remember the first time at four-wheel driving in your BT50? Or where'd you go?
Probably, mine was Double Island, my first trip, as that's where I learnt to drive. Even back when my mum and dad used to take us up the beach, there was always Double Island was our first trips. So that's where I ever did my first wheel driving.
Yeah. Mine was Glasshouse, so jumped in the deep end kind of thing.
You did, didn't you? Yeah. Cut your teeth well and truly there.
Yeah, I did, and had to reverse out a few tracks, but I took on most of them. So.
And here we are, the experts today.
Here we are.
So there you go, some pretty good stories there, and I don't know about some pretty bad ones too. So if you've got any tips for us of some really good go-to places that are a must-see, head to the link in the descriptions below. Maybe you could share some of your go-to places and some areas where we can probably create some really memorable moments.